We will fight you in every single seat up and down the length and breadth of the United Kingdom.
Nigel Farage started off that way. This is the Brexit Party, or at the very least, head of the Brexit Party. We will fight you on the shores. We will fight you everywhere. He's not towing that line now. Nigel Farage has done a U-turn on this, and as opposed to fighting everywhere, apparently, he's only going to fight in Labour-held areas. Meaning areas that Tories won in, he's not going to put in a Brexit candidate. Now, on its face, you would think that this will hurt Labour, but I'm going to make an argument that this might not hurt Labour as much as we think it's going to hurt Labour. And also, Farage seems to be trending downward in the polls, meaning the Brexit Party, especially since the Conservative Party has taken on such a pro-Brexit stance, meaning the Conservative Party is eating into the Brexit Party's numbers. I want to talk about this. Welcome to the soapbox. Let's hop across the pond.
The party will not.
My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, subscribe. You can always support. PayPal patron. My wife and I like to say even $1 helps because these videos are instantly demonetized. Let's hop across the pond. As anyone who watches this channel know, I have a fancy with British politics. I find it utterly and entirely fascinating. Not to mention, they speak English. They're going through an election season, so again, this is kind of like a holiday that I'm feeling kind of in the distance of sorts. And in the same way that there are major challenges and major opportunities for this country coming up in the next election going now, because our elections take place for like a year. The same thing is true there, with somewhat of a different story, even though you can make an argument that the notes are similar, meaning the reason that Brexit happened and the reason that Trump happened. Boris Johnson is taking a pro-Brexit stance. We're the party that's going to deliver Brexit. Now, these are also the party that put the referendum up in the first place. So, on several counts, Tories have every incentive in the world in carrying this out. A, they put it up. B, they want to argue that we're the party that's representing democracy and everything else. C, what they're calling democracy is cutting regulations to the bone, which is what they will be allowed to do the moment that they get out of the EU if they can put through the Brexit that they want. Labour has given up the Remain position. The Brexit position. Initially, Labour got elected. The numbers that were in Labour were there under a manifesto that's pledged to honor the referendum. Labour is no longer going to do that. Now, they're going to do this in this kind of de facto way, but ultimately, Labour is a Remainer party that doesn't necessarily want to own up to the fact that they're a Remainer party. Lib Dems know what they are. We're going to get rid of the referendum. SNP, they know what they are. We're going to get rid of the referendum. Brexit Party tells you in their name, we want to rip the bandage off the testicle Brexit. That's what we want. Helter-skelter Brexit. Bojo, we want the Brexit based on our deal, which is indeed a hard Brexit. Those are the camps. The Labour camp asked the very basic question, are you going to stay or are you going to go? They can't answer that question, which means that they are somewhat hobbled in any election that deals with this notion of Brexit, not to mention their position doesn't all that much make sense. We're going to go negotiate a deal, third prime minister, and we're going to bring that deal back and get that deal voted on by the public. Now, the question becomes, what is going to be on that ballot paper? And if Remain is on that ballot paper, then you have essentially ended up in a Remain position in a way to give it this patina of democracy. The election is the referendum. Bringing it back to the public with this notion of wearing the public down, tiring the public out, and then saying, okay, do you want to stay? Well, that ignores the fact that you had the referendum the first time around that said, go. You never honored the first referendum. Bojo puts out this. on his YouTube, on his Twitter feed.
Hi folks, I'm out and about campaigning a lot at the moment, and people ask me about the deal that we've done with our EU friends and partners and what kind of future relationship it allows us to build. And it's a fantastic deal. It means that we can take back control of our money, our borders, our laws as soon as we come out of the EU. And of course, it enables us to do a big free trade deal with our EU friends and partners, a big free trade deal with the EU. And I want to stress that that will be a straightforward free trade agreement, not based on any kind of political alignment. There's no need for that at all. We can have a free trade agreement on the model of a Super Canada Plus arrangement. Look at how quickly we got a new withdrawal agreement done. It took us less than 3 months. We can get a fantastic new free trade agreement with the EU by the end of 2020, and we will not extend the transition period beyond the end of 2020. There's absolutely no need to do that. So, fantastic new deal.
Now, Bojo, we will not extend beyond 2020. Now, up to this point, Nigel Farage has been screaming that what the Brexit Party is doing, meaning what the Conservative Party is doing, is not Brexit. That's effectively Theresa May's deal with a few bells and whistles at the end in order to kind of get rid of the backstop, which they haven't really gotten rid of the backstop. At least they've gotten rid of it technically, but in reality, not so much. And I've explained it on the other video. Essentially, they're giving power to a constituency that's going to be in Northern Ireland. That constituency, at least the setting up of it up to this point, are pro-Europe. Meaning that every 4 years, as this question comes up, they will remain pro-Europe. You will get to the point where Ireland may unify just because you've set Northern Ireland into an alignment. This is the reason why the DUP is so against this bill. Despite all of the stuff Nigel Farage was saying beforehand, now Nigel Farage is towing a new line. I suspect in part because of that. Look, we won't extend it. Nigel Farage sees himself diminishing the polls. He's not running, by the way, but his party is diminishing the polls. And he comes out with this.
Contest the 317 seats the Conservatives won at the last election. But what we will do is concentrate our total effort into all of the seats that are held by the Labour Party, who have completely broken their manifesto pledge in 2017 to respect the result of the referendum, and we will also take on the rest of the Remainer parties.
So, despite saying that he wasn't going to work with Tories, he's made a U-turn and saying he is now going to work with the Tory party in this kind of unilateral way. Now, the Tories still say any deal or any working with the Brexit party, anyone other than us, has the potential for not delivering Brexit. Catch. Polling. What is the polling saying? The Tories have moderately gone down in the polls. Corbyn has moderately gotten a bump. The catch here, though, is that they're so far up that they're still 12 points ahead. Labour has cut Conservatives' poll lead a week, dominated by gaffes, controversies, and resignations over the two main parties, according to the latest survey by OPM for The Observer. The Tories still hold a 12-point edge or advantage over Labour, but their lead is down 4 points since last weekend. The Conservatives now stand on 41%, down 1 point a week ago, while Labour is up 3 on 29%. The Brexit Party, at the start of this, was in double digits. On this polling, they're now 6 points. But in multiple pollings, you've seen a slide in the Brexit Party's support. The Tories have been able to eat into that support. The catch for Labour is this may not be a bad outcome, even though initially on the face of it, it sounds bad. Oh my God, the Brexit Party is making a deal with the Tories. What does this mean in Labour-held constituencies? Think about it for the moment. Labour is running in the race. Tories are running in the race also. The Brexit Party is running with a policy platform that directly goes against the Conservatives' platform. Meaning that this 6 points, whatever that 6 point is, in a particular district, you would have Tories still running against the Brexit Party. They're just running against areas that the Labour held, meaning you can still end up with a situation where you split the vote. Think of George Bush, Bill Clinton, and Ross Perot. And Ross Perot, everybody understands, is for the most part a right-winger. He eats into the vote total of the other right-winger in the race, meaning Bush. Clinton ends up winning. I'm making the point here that the same thing can happen in the various districts that the Brexit Party is running in. You are running against Tories. Also, just because there are Tories running in those races, the Tory party wants to make inroads in Labour seats, especially in seats of people who are Remainers. Even if those people haven't necessarily voted Tory before, and they don't like Labour's position, if this election for those people becomes about Brexit, Tories want to be able to get those votes. If the Brexit Party is in this race, the Brexit Party may eat away at some of the vote totals that the Tory party would typically get, allowing the Labour seat to edge out potentially for a win. Just because they're standing down in Tory-held seats or districts doesn't necessarily mean that they won't hurt the Tories in Labour-held areas. I hope that makes sense. Labour is still behind in this race. Jeremy Corbyn has a hard way to go. But again, the polling once before had it that Theresa May was going to win as a bombshell. I mean, as a with a mandate. That didn't happen. Theresa May lost that election. This election is different, and the figurehead for this election is different. And it does seem like Labour has been able to get some gains in, but they have a hard way to go. And that's to put it mildly. One point. The Conservative Party, Tories, can't give a lesson to Labour about allowing the SNP for a secondary referendum. The referendum that they had for Brexit was a Tory-held contraption. First point. They can't essentially wag their finger at Labour for any kind of association with the SNP either. The DUP, again, was a Tory-held contraption, meaning it was the Tories that decided to work with the DUP in regards to the policies that these guys were putting forth. Ultimately, this election will have a big decision-making process in regards to what takes place next. Will this election be about Brexit, or will this election be about after Brexit? This gives a little bit of ammo to Jeremy Corbyn for making this point that they're going to sell you out. Boris Johnson is going to sell off the NHS, or at the very least have the NHS paying more money for items from the US and some of the deals that they're willing to make. You can't trust Boris Johnson and the Tories on this point. I actually agree with Jeremy Corbyn on this. You can't trust them on this point. However, that depends on what the person makes this election about. Will it be about Brexit, or will it be about after Brexit? If it's about Brexit, Labour has a hard way to go. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks all.